Welcome to a special episode of the Platform Podcast. This one is going to be epic because we've had a few chats with you on a camera when you're in the office in West Palm, Florida. I would love to introduce Ryan Arvin. What's your title? Director of Soccer?
Director of Athlete Recruitment.
For ASM, our partnered agency based in West Palm, Florida. So, Ryan, you made the 23-hour journey to New Zealand.
Yep, I did.
You've been staying at the finest establishment, my apartment, for the last 2 weeks.
I don't know if I'd call Mount Wellington the finest establishment area I've ever seen, but yeah, it's not terrible. Could be worse.
Do you realize I've been doing your washing? Come on, man. You can't do me like that.
I don't know. We'll see about that.
How do you feel being in New Zealand? I mean, it's one of the places that you hadn't been to in the world. You've done a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
What was your first impressions?
Yeah, I mean, overall first impressions were beautiful, I guess just country from a landscape standpoint, and quite fond of, I guess you could say, just the overall culture and the vibe in the city of Auckland, not just in the city, but also the different suburbs and towns, even going down to Wellington. We went to Hamilton as well. So got to see some countryside on the way down there.
Count the sheep.
Yeah, counting the sheep. And so overall, I really enjoyed it from, I would say, all the facets. From the people, from the landscape, the culture, the food. I'm a big cafe fan.
You've been quite fond of that Takapuna Cafe, haven't you?
Yeah, Takapuna Cafe right on the beach there overlooking the volcano, which was awesome. But the coffee here is just a lot better. In America, it's a lot different. It's all filtered coffee there, so a lot stronger here. And I'm just a big cafe, I guess, type fan. It's a lot different in the States. We're more of a chain, Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, those type of situations. You don't see as many independent cafes and coffee shops. So I like that overall vibe. It's definitely nice when you go out to eat and you don't have to tip as well. Like everything's already taken care of. You just tap your card. They make it quite simple.
I think it was Brandon from Syracuse. He said that he went to Oyster and Chop by himself. He had a dinner. He ordered a steak and spent a bit of money there. And he said he even tipped. And me and Will sort of looked at each other.
Yeah,
like, wow.
It's just a big American culture thing. One thing I did notice is, this is not a knock, but because they're not, working on tips, sometimes the service isn't as fast in America, but in America, I think we're just a little bit more fast-paced in general, maybe not as patient. So that at times was a little testing for me, but overall, really enjoyable experience from all facets.
Cool, man. And for those that don't know Ryan, so we've been working with Ryan. He's obviously been one of the directors of ASM, and he comes from a soccer background, and that's actually how we met many years ago. This is the first time I've actually met Ryan in person, but I feel like we were brothers well before he arrived in New Zealand. And we first met when you were at St. John's?
It would have been Bonaventure,
yeah. it was at Bonaventure, right? And I was shooting you a few emails, hopefully with the chances of you taking my players, but it never happened. And then you went to St. John's and you still didn't take any of my players, and that's fine. I'll let that go.
Yeah, no, I'm fortunate. I had a really great career in both playing and coaching. Grew up in Florida, in America, obviously playing at a decent level. Wasn't really super well educated on the recruiting process. Was fortunate enough to get an opportunity at a Division I school named Canisius College, which is now Canisius University, actually, which is in Buffalo. And if you know American geography, Florida is on the beach, and Buffalo is basically as far as you can go without going to Canada. So went to the tundra, loved every minute of it. Got to play about probably 30 games at the Division I level. I redshirted my freshman year. I didn't play, so I had another year to play, and I got to go play Division II at Mercyhurst University, which is was a top-level Division II program. Has just transitioned to a Division I, but got to go to an NCAA tournament, the Sweet 16. And then right after I got done playing, got the opportunity to go to St. Bonaventure, which is a Division I school in the Atlantic 10 Conference. So they play against schools like Virginia Commonwealth, VCU, St. Louis, Fordham, Rhode Island, Loyola Chicago, Dayton, a lot of very good programs. Spent 6.5 years there. And then my goal was always to coach the highest level I could, and got the opportunity to go to St. John's, which is in the Big East. So that's Georgetown, Seton Hall, Akron's in that conference now, Marquette, Xavier, a lot of great schools.
Super academic schools as well.
Super academic schools I've been at, not just from a football perspective, but great academically. Like, at Bonaventure, the CEO of Delta, Procter & Gamble, MasterCard North America, we're all St. Bonaventure graduates. And then St. John's was a bit of a different level, 20 minutes from New York City. So from a football perspective, a school that's won a national championship. 3 guys got drafted into the MLS while I was there. And then academically, we have a ton of guys that do internships in the city on Wall Street in finance, in accounting, also marketing and things as far as that stuff goes. So from both an academic and a athletics perspective, I got to work at 2 really awesome schools in that area in the States. And then now I get to help in the next step of the journey doing this. Got out of coaching. And, for me, I always worked with recruiting agencies. Obviously, we knew each other. It didn't work out with me taking one of your players.
I'm going to get you on this podcast.
You're smirking at me, so I'm sure there's something coming at some point. And get to help with this journey now in the next step for a lot of these internationals and helping with that connection piece of it.
Well, you know what they say, Ryan? Those who can't do coach, and those that can't coach end up recruiting. So it's great to have you in part of the team. And I think that, it's a massive value proposition that we can provide because, we had this amazing showcase that we'll jump into very soon. But there's a lot of agencies in the world that are former athletes, that network athletes with current college programs. I was guilty of that. We did that. We had Simon Cretion working with us. He played, obviously, at Eastern Tennessee State and all these other great programs, and he was helping a lot of our guys get into colleges in the US, etc. We have Will Clarkson, our manager. He played lacrosse, and he was networking lacrosse athletes. But now, ASM's a bit different. They have got Ernie Els as a co-founder. They've got a private equity firm backing the company. Yeah. You guys have hired former college coaches, which is a massive value proposition as an agency. And that's kind of the reason why I jumped on board with ASM, because it was something that I couldn't provide. I mean, you guys get paid pretty well, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, from our side of it, that's the goal of our company, is to be able to bring in ex-college coaches and make it worth it for them, both from a life standpoint and, let's at the end of the day, you do need to make a salary to support a family and live. So from that side of it,
and it's completely justified, by the way, because we're not just placing kids, we're helping the next chapter of their lives, and we have to get it right. So what you guys do is so important. I learned so much since you've been here in New Zealand, just hearing you talk to the other college coaches that were in town about, I know that coach over there, he's a nice guy. I know that coach over there, he's not a nice guy. Those are things that other athletes probably can't bring to the table.
Yeah, when you're a coach and you're in it, it's just different. You know all the little nuances, the programs, how they play, what the coaches are like, what athletes' experience have been at those universities as far as that goes. So it doesn't matter the sport for us at ASM. Everyone that works there as an ex-college coach. We do have some ex-players that are more kind of on the recruitment side, not as much on the placement side, but there are some of those that assist on that, or maybe just kind of communicating with the athletes and checking in. But at the end of the day, the value is you're getting an ex-college coach to actually do your placement to a university, because ex-college coaches are going to make those calls to the current coaches, and they're going to trust our opinion because we've been at that level, and it's just a little bit different. Because you have to think, I'm not just risking, I'm risking my reputation when I send a player somewhere and I have given a coach a recommendation about what I think is possible for them. And that's both from them as a person, them on the field, them in the classroom, and all that. Because once you go somewhere, you are a, let's just say a St. John's men's soccer player or a St. Bonaventure men's soccer player. You're someone different as far as that goes. Sorry, I'm not used to having the microphone. You're the expert with the podcast.
I know, because you've got that big ASM wall with all the logos behind, and you got a fancy mic with the big lights. I've seen the setup, bro, and we're in our little meeting room here with no windows.
Yeah, I know exactly. We're hanging out with Stefan, so
I know Stefan's actually with us for a week. He's going very, very sad.
Stefan's going to travel the world.
He is. He's an absolute madman. 4 months leaving. I don't know how he's going to survive without his mum, though, because his mum does everything for him. Folds his clothes, cooks him, brings him the nice sandwiches in the morning. Isn't that right, Stefan? Yeah, see? He made him a sandwich this morning. If you're listening to this, go and give your mum a hug.
Yeah.
Mums are amazing.
Mom saved the world.
I actually heard you on the FaceTime with your mum this morning.
I was on a FaceTime with my mom this morning when are you coming back? Will you text me when you're back in America? Are you going to come see me this weekend? The usual stuff. Unfortunately, I have a really good relationship with my mother. I actually went to the same university that she went to and played, which is kind of ironic. It just worked out that way. But, I ran away from home, basically, from Florida to there. So I'm back in South Florida now. I moved back a year ago after being away for 13 years. But I'm so happy that I went away from home and made my own path and did something different. I was really proud of doing that. And now I get to go back into the environment being home. And I think a lot of internationals can relate to this, where they go away and then some of them go back after college. Some of them go and work for a while. Some of them get a master's. Some of them play professionally, no matter what sport you're doing. And then you go back home and you can provide, value for people either in your hometown and being back with your family. So I always knew I'd end up back there. I didn't think it would be as soon as it was, but it's just the way life worked out. But I was super thankful I got to go away from home, and then now I get to be back.
You're pretty extroverted. Did you have any introverted mates that did really well in college, or did they struggle?
I would say, to be honest, we had a lot of guys that I played with that were quite introverted, and by the time college ended, they wouldn't shut up, for lack of a better term. I just think being in a team environment, it brings it out in you, and your coaches are also making that extra effort to make sure that you're comfortable, and your teammates are as well. The older players on your team are very influential in that. A lot of the guys were for me, and I tried to do that when I was older, when I was a senior. I got some stick from the older guys, but I tried to mentor the younger guys a lot and make them feel good and comfortable, because I went from far away, and the guys did that for me. And that's the best part about being on a team and going to university, is everyone wants to help and support you. And it was great to have that players panel, your former players. And I think Rachel was talking about where it's literally everyone, the lunch ladies are the cafeteria or whatever, they're like your moms, or you're like your grandmas. Oh, I didn't see you yesterday. Are you okay? Or you ate 2 times yesterday and you ate only 4 times the day before. And everyone's just looking after you from every side of it. And that's the most awesome part about going to America, is these universities, for lack of a better word, I call them cults. People wear the shirts. They live for their schools. Anyone that works at those schools, anyone that's been at those schools, alumni, and it's just a different type of loyalty. We went to Victoria, right down in Wellington, and there's not people walking around wearing.
They're wearing their just casual clothes.
Yeah,
they're
not wearing if you go to a college campus, let's just say you go to Clemson, I guarantee you walk around and 75% of the kids and faculty are wearing something that says Clemson. And that's at every school, college. Doesn't matter if it's 500 students that are there or there's 60,000. It's a huge loyalty and just love for that university or college.
Let's talk about the showcase.
Yep.
It was something that hasn't been done before properly in New Zealand. A lot of these academies invite some coaches and do some in-house games, but it's the first time we've really gone out to the whole country saying, here's an event. And what was cool about it is we got to really get to know these college coaches. Our athletes got massive exposure through their connections.
Yep.
There could be an amazing success story that we're not going to share right now that will probably happen in a couple of weeks' time from this event.
Yep.
That I think is going to make absolute headlines. We got to go on TV. We traveled around New Zealand with these coaches and got to go and meet different academy setups as well and see what they were doing. What was your overall take on this? Let's talk about your 2 friends that you brought over first, Trevor and Brandon.
Yeah, so got to bring Trevor Banks over, who is the Yale assistant coach. Trevor has been at quite a few Division I schools, also at Brown, another Ivy, Villanova as an assistant. He was head coach at Chicago State and then was a head coach in the pros for a little bit. I'm sure there's some other schools he's been at, but he's been in coaching probably pretty close to 20 years. And has just been a great resource for me, good friend of mine, and also brought over Brandon Denoyer from Syracuse Women's Soccer. He's an assistant. He's also been at Mississippi State, Richmond, and Siena, so another 4 Division I schools he's been at. Great experience, almost 20 years in coaching as well. And when we started to kind of put the showcase on, it was who could we bring over that could bring a lot of value? And bringing an Ivy League school was definitely something I think you guys really, emphasized that you wanted to show that academic side of it. So, we were able to get Trevor, and then, from a football standpoint and from an academic standpoint, the ACC, you can't really get much better than that in soccer. So bringing, Brandon from Syracuse was kind of a no-brainer. So brought those 2 guys over.
It was awesome, man. I mean, I didn't really know what to expect because I went and picked them up from the airport by myself. I mean, I know that you were in New Zealand and you're meant to come with me in the car, but you like your beauty sleep, and you said that you get cranky if you don't get your night full night's sleep. So I went by myself and picked them up, and it was really cool getting to know them. And then we went and got them breakfast in the morning. I was very nervous because I wanted them to have a really good time. 17 hours on a plane from JFK is a big ask for these coaches, especially when they're in camps and they've got a lot of things going on. But I think that they had a good time. The feedback that we got from them was really good. I mean, their level's pretty high over there, right?
Yeah, I mean, both schools where those guys are at are competing for championships, putting pros in not just in America, but all over the world, different levels. So, you know, they're familiar with watching high-level soccer, both in the States and internationally. But neither one of them had been to New Zealand, so it was definitely a new experience, and I'm sure they both came in not really knowing what to expect, myself included in that. Yeah,
no, it was good, man. And so let's walk everyone through the itinerary because we have had a massive couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So coaches got in on a Sunday morning. Monday we had 3 meetings. We went to St. Kitts in the morning, which was quite cool. What were your thoughts on that high school's facilities?
Unbelievable school. Great view there with the sailboats in the harbor there with all the mountains.
And the rugby pitch.
Rugby pitch was great. You know, quite a few fields, was training fields.
You guys said it was like a D1
game.
program.
The gym was fantastic. Like, that's a Division I level facility, to be honest. They've got a great setup. So I was quite impressed. That was quite one to start with. And I was like, wow, if they're all like this. Obviously, that's the creme de la creme, I think, kind of, as far as the schools go and resources. But definitely super, super impressive. And Brian was a great guy.
Apart from scaring the daylights out of the coaches about the flight to Wellington. Because I hadn't told them that the flight was going to be windy and it's like a really tough airport.
Yeah,
so I was keeping them download.
And then Brian Shelley goes, yeah, you guys know it's like one of the hardest places to land in the world. And Trevor just looks at us like, because he's not exactly the best flyer. So it was definitely a funny start to the trip.
I looked at Brian, I was like, bruv.
Stitched you massively.
Yeah,
massively stitched.
But it was good. Like, the facilities were awesome. We jumped in the car, had lunch at the Cream Cafe at Mount Albert, and then we headed to Auckland United. You guys got to meet Ben Bates, Jose, Joe Dawkins, the legend who's been the brain behind helping us get in the showcase off the ground. How was that? What was it like at the Auckland United facility for you?
Yeah. Well, you know, Joe Dawkins is definitely my favorite person I've met in New Zealand so far, which has been awesome. So, Joe, this is for you. But just a really great guy and with a great football knowledge here in New Zealand, but also someone who I didn't realize until I got here played in the States at FIU. So someone that understands the process. So has been really supportive of this journey and this showcase and trying to create opportunities. So got to meet Joe, which was awesome. And then really got to we spent 30 minutes to an hour with Ben and Jose. Picking their brains, obviously, both on the men's and the women's side of it. Both guys that are involved in, you know, Jose in the U20s and Ben in the U17s, and getting kind of a pulse on how it works, both from a first team side of it with kind of Auckland United, and a little bit more of dive into the youth and the players and how it all works from that. So both great resources to have for us and for me to get to meet guys that are familiar with a lot of players that I know that have kind of come through New Zealand, maybe gone to America or have gone professionally. So it was definitely a good way to kind of start the trip and get a good base knowledge on everything.
So you got to meet Joe Dawkins a lot. You think, I mean, could you resonate with him because he's also another D1 athlete?
Yeah, I mean, he just kind of gets it. You know, somebody that, it's funny, he told the story about getting recruited, that he was playing either with the 17s or the 20s, and they were somewhere, and they were playing against Ireland, and they went to go watch the number 9, and then Joe found out that some coach was there to watch the guy. So
I don't even know this.
So Joe goes, yeah, I'm just going to kick him the entire game. So I guess Joe just absolutely abused the number 9 from Ireland and put him in his back pocket.
I mean, if you see Joe, he's a pretty intimidating
and the
lad.
Coach, and I can't remember his name because Mungo was the head coach at the time, the FIU assistant, went to Joe and said, hey, you want to come to America on a scholarship? And Joe's like, well, what is that? Like, I don't know what that is. And I guess a couple months later, he was on a plane. So, you know, it's a cool story how that works, and that's a big thing in football and in soccer. You never know who's watching. It's an audition. So I think that was a really cool story of, you know, you never know what's going to happen. You know, that doesn't happen very often.
No, that's rare.
I mean, that's very rare. Great for that, but, you know, it's a cool story of how it worked, and he got to go through the process and go to the States and then kind of, you know, made it as a pro, and then was able to then kind of get into the coaching side of it. And now he understands how awesome the American pathway is and how important it is for student athletes, especially coming from New Zealand. So he's been a great advocate for that and really helped a lot with organizing. He even is a man of the people, got on the sideline and was the linesman for a couple 2 games. I did shout at him at one point.
You were abusing him.
Well, I was very questionable. My team was giving me bad information, so I have to have a chat with the girls about that. But it was the right offside
You're
call.
lucky. Actually, no, we can get this because there were 2 video cameras recording everything. The ref nearly sent a guy that was coaching the team off the pitch, but the guy just happened to be Ryan, who's running the event, that would be an absolute scene.
Yeah, well, a little bit of a questionable refereeing decision.
Shows how competitive you are.
Yeah, when I'm coaching, I'm trying to win.
Yeah.
And I want the kids to get that experience. As in America, when you go to college, coaches' jobs are based on winning and losing. This is not youth soccer. This is not club soccer anymore, where it's about development. Yeah, we want to develop you and we want to get you better, but if I don't win, I'm going to lose my job.
I guess a lot of people do look up to Joe with the journey he's been on. Do you look up to Joe?
No.
I'm surprised that you don't, because you're about 5'5".
Yeah, I knew where you were going with it, but I'm not going to give you that.
Because you're 5'5" and he's over 6 foot, so I thought you would look up to
I'd say Joe's about 6 foot and I'm about 5'9", so.
When are you going to stop lying about your height, right?
5'8"3/4.
Should I tell everyone what your shoe size is? I saw you buy some shoes at Sylvia Park.
You can tell me my shoe size if you'd like to. What I'll tell you is about having a size 8 is they're always in stock. They're never out of stock of size 8s.
Especially in the kids section.
Kids' shoes stop at 7.
Okay, fair call. So Auckland United was an awesome facility. FIFA put $1 million into that
incredible.
field.
I mean,
they made us feel at home as well, eh?
Really welcoming from every aspect of it. It gave us full access to the meeting rooms, to the cafe. Just really awesome. I mean,
some people some clubs, bro, they're very particular on what we can and cannot do at their club. These guys were just go for it. Make this your home. And it was so good.
We needed that too, especially being a first event down here, and kind of Amrit touched on it. It hadn't really been done before. We also threw this together in a month and a half to 2 months.
Bro, it was 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
I remember we did the deal with Joe. And I'm like, this is what we want to do. And Joe's like, we need to do a showcase. Let's put one on. And then we're trying to find coaches and match it to their schedule. And then you called me and said, the coaches can arrive on the 24th to 25th of May. Yeah. We've got to do it at the start of June. That's the only window. And
it was
4 weeks.
It was one where I was like, maybe we shouldn't rush it, but you were like, no, let's push it through. We can get it done. So that was my only concern. It's a timeline in the States. School had just kind of ended. It was Memorial Day weekend was the weekend they arrived, which in America is a big holiday and a big recruiting time too. And, it was awesome. We were able to get 2 guys down here to watch. And, it worked out in the end, and it's only going to get better from here on out. This is not going to be a one-off. We plan to do this for years to come.
Absolutely. I mean, Joe put it a great way. He said we need to create more opportunities for kids, and this is going to be the first one that we get off the ground, and we can only build from it. And look, there's things that we can do better in this event if we're going to be really honest. I mean, sponsors would have been fantastic. We financially backed out this whole thing.
Yeah,
ourselves,
we said, for us, it was about the kids. We technically, if you want to get personal, we lost money on the event.
We did lose money.
But that's fine.
And I'll do it all over again.
And I do it again because the feedback from the current clients, we got to see a ton of at least over 20 current clients on the boys and girls side, meeting them in person, getting to see them in person, speaking with their families, them coming to the members only day was awesome. And we opened it up to everybody, which was, I thought, it's very rare in the type of showcase agency space. It's not. It's only usually open to clients of platform/ASM if you run a showcase, and we open up to everyone. It didn't matter if you
there were other athletes using, and Stefan bleeped this out but the athletes came to it and they said, look, this is absolutely amazing. They got lots of value. Some of the athletes were like,
I think that was the best part, and I commend you for that. I would have been like, no.
No ego here, brother.
But that's
No
really
ego here.
that's awesome, and I think they were super appreciative of it. I think one of the girls that is signed with another agency, she sent Will a million messages thanking so much for the opportunity, and I think maybe she was like, oh, I wish, but that's hindsight's 2020, right, at the end of the day. But I'm really happy we opened up to everybody. That was awesome, and that's the way we want to do, is create opportunities for the more student athletes from New Zealand. And you're probably going to touch on it, but like the level wise from the boys and girls, both sides, I was impressed with. I was pleasantly surprised.
Every single person at the event could go to college, right?
Every single person could play in college at some capacity.
Good to know.
Which was great.
But yeah, man, I think that the showcase was awesome. We'll dig deeper into the showcase soon. I'm trying to go through this podcast in the order of events that happened. So Monday, Auckland United, we saw them all. It was great. Then we caught up with Peter Smith and Rudy at Mount Albert Grammar. We went and caught up with them, which was great because they're also the coaches for Bay Olympic. Yep. So it was awesome to meet them. We had dinner at night, went to sleep early, and then Tuesday morning at 6 a.m., we were flying out to Wellington.
Windy Welly,
but it wasn't windy. It was absolutely fine.
Yeah.
I sat next to Brandon the whole way down. You sat next to Will, and I think Trevor was in front of you from Yale. And man, it made me realize how big of a program Syracuse was. When Brandon goes to me, hey man, so have you ever flew in private before? And I was like, nope. And we're on Jetstar, which is like the budget airlines in New Zealand.
And Spirit Airlines of America, basically.
Literally. And I said, nah, man. And he goes, oh, okay. And he looked like surprised. And I was like, I just don't. But they travel in like private and charter planes.
Those big schools sometimes is next level, especially if you're going somewhere that's more of a remote location, depending on, because a lot of these big schools, a lot of people don't realize these big football schools are in small towns in America. Without the universities, they wouldn't exist. Yeah. So like Clemson, South Carolina, I've been there. Like without that university, it's nothing. Auburn's the same way. Alabama's the same way. Michigan State, like it's Penn State, and that's just to name a few, right? Like, yeah, there's some big schools in some big cities, like St. John's is in New York City. UCLA is in Los Angeles. You've got
Loyola Marymount in LA.
Yeah, Texas is in Austin, which is a big city, you know what I mean? Like, but it's a lot of these are small towns, so sometimes it's
Syracuse is small?
Syracuse is a city, but it's small. Upstate Western New York, kind of more of a central New York, I guess you would say Syracuse is. But that's a small airport. It's not like a major airport or any stretch of the imagination. Like Buffalo and Syracuse are probably similar in size, but I'd say Buffalo's probably bigger in name because it's closer to Toronto from that side of it. But can sometimes usually have to go fly somewhere and then fly somewhere else.
We even spoke to Brandon, I think was it, you said the day before, where he said sometimes if it was at the showcase, he said his school is so close to Canada that sometimes he'll drive them to the border.
Yeah,
to drop them off.
A lot of kids will fly in and out of Toronto, especially internationally. It's cheaper when you're upstate there. That was a great thing about being at St. John's was like JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark right there, like incredible. Like it's so close. So
like we land in Wellington 7:00, pick up our rental car 7:30. We go to our first meeting. We meet Cale Herbert, Ricky Herbert's son, who runs a great program at Miramar Rangers.
St. Pat's. We go to? Did we go to St.
Yep, that's
St. Pat's. Yeah,
that was a field right by the water.
That's a good memory for an old man.
Don't say old, bro. I'm 1 year younger than you. Yeah. We're the same age. We're young, bro. We're young bucks.
Yeah, we're young. Sorry.
But then we had a great meeting with him and his assistant, and then I took you guys up to that viewpoint.
Awesome.
And he looked over the entire area, which was nice. It was a beautiful day. Can't beat Wellington on a good day. And that's the saying, by the way, in Wellington. Everyone says it.
Yeah, I didn't hear it till now, so.
Yeah, that's the saying. So maybe when you do your Instagram dump, you can maybe...
I already put a caption Windy Welly up.
Nice. Original. I like it.
Thanks. I put a picture of me and Will there and a selfie of me and you. The picture of me and Will definitely got more insights on it. I don't know why, but...
Is it because you guys are more odd looking, or?
I just think people just feel more comfortable with our faces, maybe.
Thanks, man. But you listening to this, Ryan and I are very close. So 80% of the time we make fun of each other, and 20% of the time we're actually nice to each other.
Well, that was awesome when you've known someone for so long but never met in person.
Yeah.
Like I came through the doors and it was, we gave each other a hug and it was like we'd known each other in person.
Yeah, it wasn't weird.
It wasn't weird at all, and that's for me the type of relationships you want to build. You build through just athletics in general. Like that's just incredible, like to have that. Obviously, we've gotten to work together the last almost been a year now.
Yeah, man.
But we've known each other a long time, and when you have people that have the same vision and the same goals, that's what you get.
Yeah, for sure. And our time in Wellington was sick. I got you guys a nice Airbnb.
Airbnb was
I did
awesome,
well.
Right on the water.
Yeah, Island Bay Parade. Actually, it was right between Maranui Cafe and Spruce Goose. If you don't know it,
You and Will had a bunk bed.
we did have a bunk bed, but Will didn't want to share a room with me, so he slept upstairs on the couch in the end. He said it was too hot downstairs. Which is probably right.
Me and you were down there, so that's probably
that
part
makes
of
sense.
it.
That makes sense. But yeah, the coaches had their own room. Trevor absolutely gapped it up the stairs and got the biggest room.
Yeah.
Fair play. Well done, Trevor.
I mean, hey, like I like.
You did as well.
Well, I had a great. I'm like, I'm not going in the bunk bed.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, this room.
Is it because you can't climb that little ladder?
Exactly.
Yeah, thought so.
It's because I move a lot in my sleep, and if I roll down, and then I don't know if my insurance works in New Zealand, I didn't want to risk falling out of the bed.
That's true. That's true. And you have got a few brain cells.
Because I did fall out of the bed the
those.
first night I had jet lag at your apartment.
Did you fall?
Yeah, I rolled out of it.
I don't know.
And I had to like tuck my head because I was afraid of hitting it. Because I have a king at home, like it's big, like
wow.
And so
you're making me sound like. Hey, I got a nice.
No, you have a great.
bed,
No, it's beautiful. Everything's
brand
great.
New. My mother, lovely lady.
She decorated it.
She will not let me buy anything secondhand. I have to buy.
Yeah, no, it was nice. It's just, I mean, it was just a little bit different. So I just.
It's not American style, eh, Stefan?
Yeah, it's not. It's not America.
This guy. Anyway, Island Bay, beautiful accommodation. We got locked out for a while because we didn't have the PIN code.
Yeah,
after a while.
what a disaster that was. The alarm's going off.
What's going on?
I'm running down the street.
I know. And then we had a few more meetings in the afternoon. We had that coffee with the coaches. With Ryan Faithful, a friend of mine. He's Guiche, my brother,
Guiche
my
is
Argentinian
awesome.
brother.
Yeah.
And then after that, we went to I don't even know where we went. We went out for dinner, I think, and then just
Did we go to Wellington College that night?
Nah, that was the next day. So the next day, we went to bed that night at a reasonable hour, got up early, and then we took off to the Phoenix. And we spent the day in the morning with the Wellington Phoenix, and we got to go see their facility. What were your thoughts about the NZCIS facility?
I mean, I'll be honest, it's a really nice facility. But not to knock it, like that's kind of standard at Division I programs, what they have there. And I know that's kind of the best in the country.
Bro, I knew that when I was, like Brandon kept on stitching me up. Like, if there's a way that Brandon could make me feel like tiny, it was him. Because he would walk through and I'd be like, bro, what do you think about this? Look at this recovery pool over there. Look at these ice baths. Look at this this ice box that you can walk in and recover faster.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, it's nice. I'm like, do you guys have this? He goes, yeah, but bigger. And I was like, of course, bro.
Listen, it's nice. It's a great facility, but that's standard procedure at the big time schools.
Even at D2 programs.
And it's a big time Division II programs. Like it's pretty. I'll say that's one thing with America that they do fantastically well at the universities is the strength and conditioning type rooms, the physio rooms, the recovery rooms. Like it's all high level, and they do a really good job with that. They place a massive emphasis on that.
What about that soccer pitch that they put on the carpet or the floor?
That was cool. I had not seen that. So in one of the I guess you could call it tactic rooms, meeting rooms, they had a carpet of a soccer pitch.
And it was big.
Like the outline had the goal, had the different lines on it, and it was
like a 4 meter by 2 meter.
Yeah. I would say kind of not quite the size of this room, but decent. But it was a good size. And I had seen you always will put cones out and try to show hey, next time when this guy goes here, you do this. But this was an actual thing on the field, which I thought was really cool. I had not seen that, and I've been to a lot of academies and facilities all over the world, including Premier League academies. And they didn't have that, and it was so simple. Yet, oh wow, that's genius.
And the coaches were so welcoming. They were awesome, man.
They were awesome. It was good. The Phoenix's academy coach now is an American, so he played at Palm Beach Atlantic, which is so ironic because that's 5 minutes from our office in West Palm, and a program that we work with quite often. I grew up down there. I spoke to PBA when I was getting recruited as well, which is
his name was Joshua.
Josh Neff. Neff. Yeah, he spent time at FC Cincinnati and at the Revolution and the MLS academies, and they were really welcoming. Spoke with him, spoke to their director of pathways as well. just learning more about how they look at athletes and, what that looks like for them on decisions of that pro route versus that college route and how it all works. I'm learning a lot of New Zealand. Football is surrounded and kind of centered around the 17s and the 20s.
Yeah, for sure. And, I mean, Russell, the business commercial manager, what a great guy.
Yeah, Russell, awesome. Rugby guy. Definitely would not want to run it
Bro,
straight.
he owns like one of the most famous Kiwi pubs in London.
Does he?
They're all my boys that used to go next to King's Cross Station.
Definitely wouldn't want to run it straight with him.
Definitely not. He would absolutely flash
Yeah,
on
but
you.
awesome. Welcome the doors. Was super accommodating for us. And we're really thankful to him, and he was thankful for us to come there. And I heard his son's quite a football player as well.
Yeah, he's a gun.
Yeah.
He's a gun.
So, no, awesome experience at the Phoenix. Got to see the pitch where they train. That's where the Swedish women's national team lived, too, when they were in New
they've
Zealand.
got the lanes in the residence.
Yeah, they have the lanes. So the residences, like they have a residence, they kind of have like your college dorm style residence.
It's like mini townhouses.
And then they had like mini townhouses, right? It was really cool to see that. So that's also somewhere, coaches, if you're listening, if you wanted to do a international tour with your team, you could go there and stay and play different clubs.
Russell said that.
No, it was I would take my team. If I was still at university, I would look to do that trip.
I think Brandon was like, this would be really cool for us Syracuse girls to come over in like preseason.
Yeah, and it's somewhere where they could come play in the summer as well, like their reserve, like they could play in the reserves and different things like that. So, but definitely somewhere like, because you can take an international trip once every 4 years with a college team, and that's definitely somewhere where I think this is a cool experience. To a lot of teams, some teams will do that during their spring break, which is like March. Some will do it before, kind of right before preseason, so like the end of July, beginning of August as well. But I think definitely an awesome spot to kind of do that. Really impressed with the facilities, and they were super welcoming.
Absolutely. And then after that, we shot off to Boyd Wilson, where we watched the under-17 ID trial against the young Phoenix lads, man. There was a few guns there, wasn't there?
Yeah, 17 girls versus 15s from the Phoenix Academy boys. Smaller guys, but great, just football brains. Great technically, like they knew what they were doing. Like, it's cool. So, like, you can see that their academy and their development side of things is high level, which is great. And I really like down here that the girls are playing against boys at a young age, because that's going to help them be better athletes and get used to playing against bigger, faster, stronger athletes. And that's not to knock New Zealand at all, but American girls are going to be better athletes. It's just the way it is because we have way more of a population and just kind of the resource, I think, available to them at that time. So I think that helps the girls from that side of the high level. Girls get to play against the boys. I know that their 17s do the same thing. I think in the Phoenix, the girls, they'll play in against boys. And I think for their development side of it, that's definitely super helpful.
Yeah, and we caught up with a couple of parents that we're working with down there. Saw Wendy, the manager, gave me a big hug. We helped her daughter, Danny, go to college. Mm-hmm. And look, Danny came back. She thought that college wasn't for her during the COVID time.
And I think COVID was tough on an international
But that's
athlete.
kind of like how I am with pretty much everyone. I love all the parents that work with us, and we've become very close friends. I ran over there and gave her a big hug. She's awesome, man. And she's doing a great job for the youth.
Yeah.
But what was really, really interesting is your fitness levels, climbing up that hill afterwards to get back to the car.
Impressive, right?
Yeah. I mean, there was some gasps for sure.
Yeah.
There was times where I thought I should get my inhaler out for you.
Yeah.
You and Brandon were definitely, a few meters
I
behind me.
I would call my fitness level, I call it, one of my best friends from home calls it sneaky fitness. I don't look it, but I can move and I can get it done.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the size of your legs, like they're pretty small.
Yeah. Well, this was before I bought these new Reeboks too, so I was my shoes maybe weren't proper, but now I'm sorted as far as that goes.
Absolutely, but it just shows how weird Wellington is. It's all built on hills.
Yeah, it was right next to the hostel there. Really weird field, to be honest. Like pretty cool.
Bro, how windy was it?
Yeah, it was.
swirling.
That game was windy.
We tried like vlogging. I don't know what Stefan can do with that content.
Yeah, we were standing behind the shed. We were hiding behind the shed.
Well, yeah, we were hiding behind the shed, and then we went around the other side, and then it was like maybe that might be a bit easier. This windy, and it was even more windier, and it just shows like what are these athletes are playing in here in New Zealand.
Yeah, it's definitely
conditions
something
is
that you're
tough.
able to handle the different conditions.
Yeah.
So in the States, like wind is my least favorite thing to play in. I hate playing in wind, and that's probably part of it from a goalkeeper's perspective. But it's going to be environments where you got to get used to playing in, right? And when you have players from fair weather environments, when you put them in, I guess, different situations, they struggle. So knowing that athletes have to deal with that kind of stuff, because we did the Wellington College presentation, but then we went to that Phoenix Reserves U20s game. So it was was Northern League or was that's Central League?
That was Central League.
Central
So that
League,
was Waterside Karori versus the Phoenix.
That was a high-level game, but that was the first time in my life I saw a VO camera strapped to the ground, like with ratchet straps, like 3. I was like, what is that? And I was like, oh my God.
It was even strapped to the fence.
It was strapped to the fence as well, but like you needed it. You had to be done because it was windy. But that game was high level. Like it was very good. It was another very impressive one from that side of it, getting to see more of the level.
Yeah, we won't name anyone because due to confidentiality, but we've got a couple of boys involved in that, which has been really exciting to see.
Yep.
And Trev was parked up there, and Guichet gave him his big puffer jacket.
Yeah.
I think that Trev brought one, and they were tucked in that corner with Bren Fredrickson's dad as well. He was there catching up with Trev, they're good mates. And it was good to see that level. And then after that, obviously, we went and had some dinner, got back home, woke up, straight to the airport. On Thursday, we flew back up to Auckland, and we kind of took the day off that day because, like, it's all been go, like, constantly. And I was like, the guys just need to go and do their thing and just relax.
Yeah.
So we came to the office for, like, 3 or 4 hours, obviously. The coaches chilled out. We did our own thing. I caught up with my partner. You did your thing. And then on Friday morning, we jumped in the car, headed to Auckland United, and we were on the AM show.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
How was that, man? You're famous now.
Yeah, famous for getting scored on twice on penalty kicks. I didn't bring any of my boots or my gloves, so I was not well prepared.
Were you wearing those shoes?
I wasn't. That's one of the reasons I had to get new shoes because the other ones got trashed. So I didn't have boots on, I didn't have gloves. And me and Brandon had an agreement that he was going to blast the penalty down the middle, and he put it to the side. So, our friendship's a little bit in question right now. And then Willie...
Willie Wido, the host.
Willie, the host, did the classic point to the side you're going to go to and then go the other side. And, I obviously knew where he was going to go, but
obviously,
he had a whole celebration planned out. I didn't want to burst his bubble, and I for sure was not diving when we had a full day of.
Well, we were about to jump in the car and drive straight to Hamilton.
I was not getting. The shoes were dirty enough. Me all dirty. I would have had to take a shower at Auckland United and put on Auckland United gear. I don't think Joe Dawkins was ready to part with some of that gear or for me to be seen in it. But no, awesome experience. Awesome just to kind of get some more exposure for the event. We had Ryan Shen and Kenzie Longmire on it, so that was awesome. 2 of our athletes who have just been phenomenal students.
See all the badges they're wearing on their
yeah, and that's one cool thing. Those uniforms they have to wear to school too. That takes some dedication. In the States, you just kind of wear whatever you want into high school. If you go to private school, yes, but it's just a different type of schooling environment down here, but and they do a lot of leadership and different things, and I think that badges are really cool to show their achievements and what they're involved in, but they got to do that, which I think from their side of it, they earned that, and they both came to the showcase and both performed well, so it was a good experience.
We jumped in the car, headed to Hamilton Boys High, caught up with the school. Great to get Hamilton Boys High support in what we're doing, which is great. Met their new football director, which was awesome, and then we headed to meet Ricky Herbert.
We did meet Ricky Herbert, yeah.
The GOAT, the guy that knows everyone and everything. It was awesome catching up with Ricky. Obviously, we caught up with his son, Kale, earlier in the week, but that was cool to catch up with him, and then we headed to Melville. What a great group of lads.
Oh, that was awesome. That's like a classic. You walk through these towns, and, New Zealand reminds me a lot of the UK from, I guess, a footballing and sport perspective. Obviously, kind of, you guys were under the crown or still under the crown. But I love the grounds. We just walk and boom, there's a football ground. And it
was all packed in, bro. Like the hedges were like tight.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome place. And the clubhouse had scarves from so many clubs from all over the world. It was
a classic.
Old
club.
School has one beer tap, right? Like where they serve at the bar. But the guys there were they're proper football lads there. Like, and they want
a Scottish lad who's come on over to coach.
Scottish guy, and they were just awesome. Where they do a great job from the youth side of playing a lot of youth guys in their first team.
Yeah,
and they do well, especially for a place that's not near a major city, which can be sometimes tough. And they just seem to do things the right way there. I got a really good vibe from those guys, and they really want to have a pathway for their players to go.
I think that there's been a lot of like cowboy agencies that just like approach these kids from the clubs, but I think what Melville wanted was a go-to person that they can use. Yes. And I think what puts their mind at ease is, Jared, the technical director of the club, is an old boy at Hamilton Boys High, and Aaron Scott, the director of sport at Hamilton Boys High, used to play at Melville.
Yeah.
And as soon as I mentioned Scotty, he's like, "Oh, sweet
Yeah,
ass, bro."
Aaron
like,
was a great. Yeah, Aaron. He had his pen and paper out the whole time. Was taking lots of notes when we were at Hamilton High. So definitely somebody, and that's in all sports, right? That like wants to try to provide that pathway. And I got that vibe from a lot of people is having a pathway, because with the era of social media, you're going to get reached out to by different agencies and different people saying they can help you and this and that. But to get into these clubs and schools and be able to provide great information to these athletes from a young age, not just from a football standpoint, but academically, the things they need to be doing, what they should be putting out there on social media, and guiding them that way, that's the key. It's a pathway that everyone has available to them, not just certain athletes that get reached out to. It's available to the same, and that's the great thing about the States is there's over 1,000 universities to choose from. Regardless of what sport you play, there's a level for everyone. Not everyone can play here. Some are going to play here, some are going to play here, and then some might start here and then end up here. Some might start here and then they need to go down. And that's what I think is awesome is it's not an end-all, be-all. When you kind of come to the States, more than likely you're going to get better and you're going to improve and you can jump on. And I've said this, and everyone's heard me say this a million times. It's not about where you start. It's about where you finish. There's a level for everybody.
4 years is a long time, man.
It is. It is a long time.
And now we can finally talk about the showcase, because that was the next day.
Yep.
We arrived there first thing in the morning. A few hours before the event, we've got Stefan stressing out, getting all the shirts ready.
Still dark out when we got there.
It was absolutely dark when we got to the club. Was it 6:30 in the morning, Stefan? I think we got there. And
Stefan doesn't remember. It was too early for him.
Too early for Stefan. His mum forgot to pack his lunch.
Yeah, no breakfast that morning. Mom was still in bed.
And then we got there, did the registration. It was the boys' day on the Saturday. Checked everyone in. Stefan made these awesome lanyards for the athletes coming in with their photo and their college intake and some basic information for coaches to see. And then we had JP Athletic run the warm-ups and then take them through some fitness testing. They're absolutely class in what they do. And then the coaches ran some sessions.
Yeah, and I will give it to JP Athletic, because that stuff gets unnoticed, but like nobody got an injury. Like they were warmed up properly.
They even had David Bahador there, their physio, and DB, like he worked at the Manchester United Academy, like he's class.
Yeah, they were warmed up properly. Like they did a great job. Got to do some testing that's you don't get to do every day. Like some different the one where they you kind of put pressure into the ground.
Yeah, the vertical jump, but plyometric.
Yeah, like the one.
The boys listening to this will make fun of me, but
that one.
Ryan just jumped for those that are listening to this.
And then it's like they did like back and forth, like kind of like a cone drill and then a 40-yard dash. Just something cool. Gives them a little bit of metrics for themselves to maybe improve on. And then Brandon on the boys' side ran a technical session, and then Trevor ran a little bit more of a tactical side of it. And it was good. The coaches got into it. It's funny, like no matter what event it is, when you're a coach and you're in it, like you just can't help yourself. And like Trevor was into it, Brandon was into it. Like it was awesome to see that, and for the kids to experience that from the college side of it. Like Trevor's been coaching a long time, like, and a couple of kids didn't do some things properly, or kind of, I guess you could say, went through the motions, and Trevor let them hear it. But that's awesome, right? Because if you allow those type of habits to go, they'll continue to build up. So, when you're a coach, you have to nip those type of things.
I was laughing so hard because I think that all the kids were excited to go up, and I told him to shake Trev's hand and be introduce himself. And he's like, look, there's too many of you to shake your hand. Just take it as I appreciate the respect you're giving me. Let's just cut this and just get on with it.
Yeah.
And he just got stuck in. And I was
100%.
like, yes, go. Come on, the boys are getting experience of what it's like at D1.
Yep.
And then that wrapped up towards, 10:30. And then the first game rolled out. It was exciting. I think a lot of boys were a bit nervous. We had Brandon coaching a team. We had one of the Auckland United guys running the team as well, which was awesome. And then a break. We spoke in the break a little bit about college and things that people should be thinking about, and then back out for some more games. And then the coaches had a bit more of a panel towards the end. So I think it was a stacked day. We repeated that same format for the girls, which was great, but a little bit less girls. So we had a bit more time spent at one-on-one time, and maybe that's a thing that we need to work on going forward, is maybe more team members from ASM could come over.
Yep.
That might be a big help. Maybe get Vidal over. Or
Yeah.
Actually, Vidal came in January. Do you reckon we should bring over Fabs?
Yeah, Fabs definitely needs to make a trip down here for sure. He was asking about it this morning.
You and Fabs coming over.
Yeah, like it's just
That'll be a good time.
A little bit, maybe more time we can spend one-on-one with the kids and the clients, with a little bit more, I guess, just people behind the scenes doing these, and that's what you kind of learn from. But I think we did a pretty good job, and we're kind of spending a lot of time this week kind of cleaning that up and speaking to people and talking about the experience and stuff. So I wish
Everything's been positive, man.
No, it's been positive. For
the amount of emails I got, text messages I got, Instagram messages, just saying how much they enjoyed the event makes me want to do another one, even though we ran the event at a loss.
Well, it's even like and
well, the other event that, and Stefan bleep this out, we're running.
Yeah.
Apparently, it wasn't even like they didn't have any refs, they didn't have any like sideline, they didn't have any shirts.
That
with,
was
like,
my
CVs.
big thing was referees. Just was shirt numbers and referees, right? And so Joe made that sure that's where our loss.
Everything was done.
but like that was important for me. Is I've been to showcases in other countries where there's a center ref and no linesman, and then maybe one goal goes in or two goals go in, it ruins the game. It affects the kids, right? So this way was run everything was run so professionally. Like, I'm really proud of our team and what we were able to, and the product that was out there as far as providing value for people. But one of the athletes came and he ended up signing with our company as a result, and we're more will. But I just think overall, I just thought it was great from our side of it, able to provide that. I got to get back on the sideline as well. You think I was going to let that go? I got to coach the boys one day. We won 4-0, and then I coached the girls the second day, and we won 1-0. And I asked them to do some things they're not used to doing, like which is pressing. Yeah.
This guy talking about his success.
So it was awesome to do it. And yeah, like Amrit said,
all I heard you was like press.
Yeah, well, hey,
move,
in America, everyone's athletic and technical, and down here, no offense to the football, but like you guys play good football, but like the ball's never in the air. And no one presses high, really enough, in my opinion. And so you got to get used to being able to do everything in football.
I think the athletes after you coached them were like, whoa, I'm fit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, kids came off absolutely blowing, right? Like, but that's good, and those are things that they can control, and that's what I'm trying to get them used to. Not every team's going to do that. I'm very thankful. I got to be at St. John's with Coach Mazer, who is a phenomenal coach, and the way that everyone knows St. John's presses, and they're like
Trevor was laughing because Brandon was coaching one team, you were coaching another team, and Trevor walks over and he's like, I'm gonna sit in Ryan's because this is the Mazer effect right here.
Yeah, so and I got to be in that environment and see it work really well, and so I'm a big fan of that. And I think for these kids, it was something different for them. I wanted them to do something different, and that's why I did it. And they all buckled down and did it. It was awesome. I was getting yelled at. Well, not yelled at, but Joe Dawkins said to me when the girls, because there's 3 girls that were playing with the first team the next day, and Joe goes, you need to limit their minutes. And I said, that's not happening. So luckily Auckland United was able to win, and Angela was able to score 2 goals, right? Because I had her pressing. And she started the game. So I don't think Ben's too mad about that. And then Holly and Penny also got to play in that game for the first team the next day, and they both worked really hard. So I think it all worked out in the end.
And, dude, like, I take my hat off to the athletes. We had a number of athletes from Christchurch, like Meg Simpson, Dorothy Yick, Amber DeWitt.
Scarlett Gray.
Scarlett came up from Christchurch. And then we had guys like Joshua Bond. I know we spoke to his dad earlier today, but, like, Josh and some of the Nelson boys, their flights got delayed, so they had to fly to Christchurch, down to South Island, and then fly up to Auckland.
And some South Island boys came up. Like, George Doyle and some of those boys. So that was great.
That's not South Island.
Sorry,
Ryan.
cut that.
Keep that in. Keep that in. We're going to hold Ryan accountable. That's what they're in Wellington, brother, but that's all right. I need to show you a map.
In the south of the North Island. South of the North Island is what I meant.
Nah, you said South Island, bro.
Well, what's it say? Oh, it says Bay Island on their shirt.
Yes.
I thought it said South Island. That's my mistake. I am accountable.
It said Island Bay on this shit.
Island Bay, that's what it was.
Yeah, but that's close. It's all right.
Well, how come there's an Italian flag on there?
I think it's just their club emblem.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Not all of us can be great like me. It's fine. I'll forgive you.
I guess just everyone know that Amrit has lost it 3 or 4 times during this podcast laughing, so we've had to cut that out just so everyone knows.
I already knew that this podcast would be hard coming into it. All jokes aside, what a heck of an event. I mean, I think that the way that this whole event and this whole trip's gone has just been absolutely epic. I said to Brandon yesterday, I said, you came as a stranger and you left as a brother, man. And I mean, I can't wait to share this story that's going to happen with one of our athletes that
it's awesome.
Has signed with the JUCO, went to the game, and then an opportunity has arisen out of thin air because Brandon was watching and was like, I know someone that would give this person an opportunity. So we'll share that at a later time. But all in all, 1 to 10, how was your experience in New Zealand?
I'm gonna go 11, to be honest. Like,
was it the Blues? Was it the Blues rugby game that gets it over there? The Barilla dumplings on Dominion Road.
Yeah, exactly. Everything, to be honest. The football exceeded my expectations at the showcase, the level, which was awesome. I'd seen so many games for so many years on video, a lot, especially in the last year in the recruiting agency space, and to get to see it in person, meet people, the culture, see what it's all like. That's a big deal when I'm speaking to coaches on that. From my experiences on a personal level, was awesome getting to meet so many people that I have heard about and have wanted to meet for many years. Amrit, you are in that group, just so you know. So it's not all just jokes, but that was awesome. The hospitality, letting me stay at your house, just easy. Everything was just easy and really enjoyable. I don't have a negative thing to say. In all honesty, and that's the entire trip from getting to go down to the Phoenix and the NCIS. CIS. So it sounds like, I'm talking about like NCIS, which is a show. Getting to go to all these schools, Scott's College in Wellington.
Bro, you built so many incredible
St. Kent's, Wellington College, Mags, Hamilton, just the list goes on of all the awesome people and places we got to go to and see, and got to see some sites and some different areas. Went down to the viaduct and got to see that as well.
One of our athletes, we'll name
drop
her. We saw
Lucy. Lucy was running around
with her family. She's flew in from Australia just to attend the showcase. And there was another one of your boys that came from Australia.
Yeah, so one of my teammates I played with at Mercyhurst, his name's Tom Davis. He went to Montevallo D2 and then transferred to Mercyhurst and did really, really well. He played for Birkenhead. He played for, probably quite. I'm gonna miss quite a few clubs. He's played for a lot of clubs, like in the Northern League.
We caught up with him on Monday after the event.
Yeah, he came to the game, and I hadn't seen Tomo in probably 8 to 10 years.
That's crazy.
And it was like no time had passed. It was also a little emotional for me. Like, it's just awesome. That's what football gives you and college gives you.
And it's been interesting seeing how many messages of people from the ASM office that are really missing you, mate. So obviously you're a very central part and an important part of the company. So that's cool to see, like, the family ties that you've got within your own team. Yeah. I'm excited. I think I need to
we need to get you over here. I need to get you over to the States. The summertime is very warm. So maybe September after, October, November. My birthday's in November, so that could be a good time before the Christmas time. But yeah, we would love to have you over and get you over there.
I'll stay with you.
You stay with me. I have a 2-bedroom condo as well.
If you haven't got a king bed, bro, I'm gonna lose my marbles.
It's not a king. That room I need to put a new bed in that room. That bed's a little bit outdated. It's got like spring. Simon, our agent from Sweden, stayed with me for 2 months because it's so dark most of the time in Sweden. So during the winter time, he came and stayed with me, and he said it wasn't the most comfortable bed. So I'll make sure if you're coming, then I'll definitely buy a new one.
Thanks, man.
Just for you.
You get paid enough, so
yeah. But I want to give a special shout out to the guys behind the scenes, Stefan, with all the content. I would say platform. From a content perspective, you guys do a fantastic job and have really helped us at ASM get better at it. And I got to give a big shout out to Willie Clarkson, who wakes up early and stays up late.
He's put in some massive hours, and I must apologize to his girlfriend Lydia for stealing him away for so much of the time.
Yeah, he just does a great. He's on the meetings with the kids.
He's in
academics,
one right now.
Like, he just doesn't stop, and he cares so much, and that is so invaluable in this kind of space. And so, for you got two really good guys here. Stefan's obviously leaving, and Will's going to stay on. But you have 2 new people coming on as well.
Yeah, we got Dobby and we got Sammy coming in.
Sammy, played at Iowa. I got to meet her over the weekend. She coached a team. She got thrown straight into the fire on a panel. Did not hesitate, which is awesome to see. So that's some testing. And we had and Dobby, got to meet Dobby as well. So Andrew Dobby.
From Australia, played JUCO American football, had a great experience in the States, wants to give kids an opportunity.
You're growing, you're adding some great people. I'm excited to get back to my team in the States. Like you kind of said, where our company is growing at ASM. Chris Vidal started in 2018 with a vision to grow it with Ernie. And now we've been backed by private equity since last August, and we're trying to push on to a venture capital round. We're trying to become the biggest sports recruiting agency in the world, while still, keeping that one-on-one kind of vibe to it and really personalized approach. And that's why we do it the way we do it when we work with other agencies like yourself, where we've partnered. And, you guys can deal with that localized support and really kind of being there for the people, because it's just different when you have someone from that culture. And it's different. I mean, you guys speak English, but just even the lingo, right? Like sweet as and all your cruising and stuff.
Go on. Give us some more. Give us some more.
Going for a feed. All this things like that. So just really, I'm going to miss my flat whites as well. I miss my flat white coffee. But just overall, that's big for me. And then for us being America, kind of with that coach background and the university backgrounds, it's been a great combination. Couldn't be happier. This trip was so much more than me than the showcase. It was us meeting. We've been working along, me meeting a lot of the athletes and just getting down here and creating even more partnerships and kind of relationships with people. And that's what this was really about, more than any substance type of things.
Yeah, and look, as much as we're joking, the reason why I signed up with ASM is because of this man sitting just across from me right now. Ryan called me and he said, I'm working for ASM, and I didn't even hesitate after I heard that. And Chris Vidal has been so awesome to work alongside, and the whole team, Gareth, Nikki, Fabian, Tiff, Luis, your golf recruiter, Diogo, they've all been absolutely fantastic. And the team's getting bigger.
Team's growing in the States.
We got a lot of things to look forward to, man. Yeah, no,
it's a really exciting time for us right now. It's the app is out. It's getting better. There's some big things coming with that. That's going to be an entire. I can't really speak on it. It's coming soon, but it's going to make the overall athlete experience with this kind of journey really incredible. And the coaches are going to get one too.
If I was another recruitment agency listening to this podcast, I would be very nervous right now.
Yeah.
What these guys are doing, I've never seen it before in 9 years.
I've never seen it as a student athlete or as a coach. It's different and unique to anything that's out, and so I'm super excited.
And we showed it to a couple of other agencies here in New Zealand that are also keen to get involved.
Yeah,
the team's getting bigger.
It's exciting times.
All right, Ryan, we've got to get some more work done. But, bro, it's been awesome having you here in New Zealand. Man. Come back soon. And
you're going to cry? I feel like I'm going to cry.
I'm going to cry with happiness.
No, you're not. Well, you're crying your happiness because you're going to Fiji tomorrow, and then I got to get on a 13-hour flight to Houston and then fly 3 hours to Fort Lauderdale and get a new
I am going to Fiji tomorrow. I'm going to go see my boy Javier, and he's staying with his girlfriend Javier and Jess. It's going to be awesome. And play a bit of golf. Talking about golf, you're lucky we didn't vlog, your putting.
My putting was fantastic.
No, it wasn't.
You
missed so many putts.
We were up 5 with 9 to play.
That's because Will absolutely caved in.
Yeah, and we gave Will a good shout out, so we can abuse him a little bit now. Let's just say Will Clarkson's golf swing, a little bit too much power, and sometimes when you try to swing with too much power, you might miss it.
He actually hit an air ball on the last hole. Well, he didn't hit an air ball. He just did an air ball.
He also hit one where he swung so hard he fell on the ground, but the ball went dead straight down the middle.
Borderline nearly did his ACL.
Yeah.
Borderline.
But athletes are athletes.
That's it. Anyway, we're going to keep dribbling on for a while. Thank you so much for listening to this platform podcast. This has been a special one. It's been an epic time having the GOAT, Ryan Arvin, here in New Zealand. And if you're listening to this and you went to the showcase and you haven't had a chance yet to do a post-showcase review, hit the link in bio, fill out the contact form, and we'll see you on that free consult. Until then, see you later, mate.
Sweet as G.
Oh my God, Ryan.